have, and it's not like I'm sitting on some fat bank. I got nothing, zero, nothing.
Interesting. I'm thinking about, well,
Yeah.
making consulting, but anyway, we can start.
All right, why don't you start by telling me your name and what do you do for a living?
So my name is Jeff Zlotnick, and I am a Dharma Bum. Since we're sitting in the Dharma Bum temple,
Okay.
I'm a Dharma Bum.
Could you say that again and then just keep it, nice and tight and
Oh,
concise,
okay.
and then it'll be like lots of sound bites that I can edit with?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
My name is Jeff Zlotnick, and I'm a Dharma Bum.
All right. Tell me a little bit about your background. Where are you from? What brought you to San Diego? And what brought you to where you're sitting right now?
Okay. I was born in Chicago, and when I was 4 years old, my family in 1979 moved to San Diego. So it was my parents and my two older brothers. So I grew up here in San Diego, in Del Cerro, went to elementary school, junior high school here, and then I went to Arizona for college. Studied psychology and philosophy there for 4 years, and my dad said I had 4 years to graduate, so I graduated in 4 years. And while I was in college, I was studying to basically get a PhD in clinical psychology, and I wanted to go on to be a counselor and a therapist. And so I was working in group homes, and for about 2 years working with adolescent teens, all who'd been abused. And my whole path was geared towards continuing on that. And then graduation night, my best friend's dad said, "Do you want to come to Philadelphia and work for me?" And I said, "What do you do?" And he said, "I do some sort of consulting." I had no idea what he was talking about, but I was a 22-year-old kid graduating college, and he was offering me a bunch of money. And at that time, I thought that was really cool. So I said, okay. And so I signed up, and I kind of left my original passion and moved off to Philadelphia and started working there for a year. After a year was pretty miserable. It was cold. I missed family, missed friends, missed baseball, and everything that I liked doing here in San Diego. So went to him one day and said, sorry, but appreciate everything, but it's time for me to go back to San Diego. And this was 1998, 99. And during that time, there was the whole dot-com kind of boom up in the Bay Area. And he said, well, we want to open up business on the West Coast. What if we, double what you're paying, what we're paying you now, and move you out to California, and you can work from home and help us build business in the Bay Area. So I think still a pretty ignorant young kid, I said okay. And so I moved back to San Diego, actually downtown here. At that time, 99, I was living down at 11th and Island, where the ballpark is now. And really just loving life. I was the next 3-4 years working from home, making lots of money. I was basically working from 6 till noon, and then I would coach baseball in the afternoons. I started working in the prisons, and I was happy. And that continued for a handful of years. And at my peak, when I was probably 24 or 25, as I was just saying, I was collecting $18,000 a month. I would get 2 checks every month, one for $11,000 and one for $7,000. And it was pretty neat. I remember 2003, I think it was, 2003, showing up to my mom's house on Mother's Day and just kind of ringing the doorbell and said, "Happy Mother's Day." And she walked outside, and I handed her the keys to a brand new $60,000 Cadillac, and she just kind of flipped. And so that was the life that I was living. And I was pretty happy. I wasn't, I was happy. I was enjoying things, but something just wasn't enough. I was missing something, and life was kind of going by, and things were moving along pretty well, but something I just missed. And so this one night, 2003, I was in line at some club downtown, and never was very patient growing up. I always wanted things, fast and quick, and needed to have it now. And so I was in line with a bunch of friends, and it was his birthday, and we were on Broadway, in fact. And I knew that I would, in my mind, I had this, not vision as if I saw things, I just had this realization in my mind that what I was about to go do, because I'd done it, so many times. And I realized I was going to pull us all out of line and go to the VIP line, pay the guy there a bunch of money, and then, go to get inside, pay him a bunch of money, probably spend $400 before we even entered inside. Then I would go in, and we would buy a bunch of drinks all night and run around and, wake up the next day at noon, feeling pretty bad. And so I had this whole realization in my head for about 20 seconds, and then the night continued, and that's exactly what happened. And I woke up the next day at noon. And 6 months prior to that, I had gone to a good friend of mine, Kristen, had to go observe a religious service. She was a graduate student at State. She was getting her teaching credentials. So she had to go observe a religious service, and she chose to go to a Buddhist temple. Her mom had said, why don't you go check out this Buddhist temple? So she knew I was into Buddhism, and she invited me along. So I went with her. Thought it was amazing. Best thing I'd ever been to. It was just a beautiful, peaceful environment. And I said I would be back the next day. Well, 6 months went by. I never went back. And then this night happened that I was talking about, where I was in line. So I woke up that next day, and something just hit me right away that said, you need to go back to that temple. And so I went back, and I got there at noon. I'd already missed, or 1 o'clock probably. I'd already missed everything that was going on. And so I picked up 2 books. One was Lotus in the Stream by Master Xing Yun, and another was How Great Beings Die. And I read these 2 books. And this book, How Great Beings Die, really was kind of the trigger, where it wasn't so much just Buddhist people. It was just how great people, great beings, great spirits, what happened to them, and how they lived right before their time of death. And to read all these stories about all these people who had died so peacefully because they knew they had lived their entire life. Maybe not their entire life, but they had eventually lived their life exactly how they wanted to live it. And that was very transformative for me. So this was 2003, and I spent the next 2+ years probably going to that temple 4 or 5 times a week, and ended up being the president of the kind of Western subchapter. And this was the master was a Chinese man who moved to Taiwan to bring Buddhism there. So for 2 years, I was really engrossed in the study and practice of Buddhism. And this temple had a lot of Westerners that would come into it. And so I, in essence, coordinated everything, scheduled everything, and led everything for a Western group of people. After 2 years or so, they said, do you want to move to our monastery in Taiwan? And this is end of 2005. And so I said, absolutely. So I kind of, in 2003 is when I say I checked out of the matrix, so to speak. But 2005, I just literally stopped everything I was doing, and I left to Taiwan for a year and lived kind of Zen monk style out there, and wore same thing every day, similar to what I'm in now, just and you had a robe every day, and you're up in the morning at 4:45, 5 a.m. in the morning, brush your teeth, you get in line, you go into the main shrine, and you bow and you chant and you eat, and you're sitting maybe 10, 12 hours a day. And that was my life for a year. And so I came back in 2006 and realized I was done, that I was really done living the life that I'd lived before. So we opened up a Dharma center and a place of meditation and Buddhist practice in Golden Hill for about 6 months. And then after that, we had the opportunity to come in here into the Dharma Bum Temple at the end of 2006 and open up this place. And so that's, at least going to 2006, what led me to here.
I'm not clear on at what point did you give up your Western, your successful business life?
Yeah.
Because it sounds like you had dipped your toe in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure when did you make the decision to give it up altogether?
In my mind, I made the decision that day, the day that I went to that temple at noon.
In Taiwan?
No, the day when I woke up the next day, after going to that club that night, and I woke up the next day, that was when my mind made the decision that I was done. But I had been raised, very good family, very, my parents are wonderful. They raised me very responsibly. And so, when you have lots of money and you have lots of stuff, I had 3 houses, I had cars, I had lots of expenses, and I couldn't just walk away from it. So mentally, I was done. But I knew that it would take me a couple years to where I could, in essence, get rid of everything that I had without just, throwing it away and having the whole world come after me for money that I owed and things that I owed. And there was a teacher of mine, a nun, who said, Jeff, you work so hard to make so much money to buy so many things. If you didn't have so many things, you wouldn't need so much money. You wouldn't need to work so hard. So the moment really was that day when I went to that temple that afternoon and read those 2 books. But it took me about 2 or 3 years to kind of slow down the process to where I eventually made no money and spent no money.